Anyway,
Right,
shall we do the nidorino episode?
let's do it.
Let's do it. Right.
Okay.
So, Tom, what are your memories, highlights, spicy hot takes, um, irrational rage about horns about nidorino?
Right. So I feel like I can speak about this one a little bit more because, um, as I mentioned when we were showing off the pictures before, that it's in the kind of opening in the opening
Yeah.
animation, and the thing that sticks out to me about Nidorino that I really appreciated as a kid was that they recreate that animation in
Mm,
the TV series.
it's the beginning of the show as well, isn't it? Is Ash watching the same battle take place on TV,
Yeah,
and then his mum coming in and saying, like, go to bed.
yeah,
You've got to get up early tomorrow.
yeah.
I like that. However, it does raise some questions. Who is entering a battling competition with a Pokemon that isn't fully evolved? I feel like you're opening yourself up to um uh judgment there, or to weaknesses, because if it was like this Pokemon is uh this tournament is for Pokemon that aren't fully evolved, it's for middle evolutions only. How good is your middle evolution?
Mm-hmm.
That would make sense, but it's fighting a Gengar, which is a fully evolved Pokemon.
Yeah,
So why would you choose to pit? Johnny has made a good point, couldn't find a Moonstone, but then surely you would just take a Pokemon you have fully evolved and enter that into the competition.
yeah.
And your Nidorino can be a cheerleader. I feel like that was a poor judgment on the part of whoever put that Pokemon um in that tournament. And I'm kind of in two minds about like what it was about Gengar and Nidorino that became those flagship Pokemon. Gengar, I can totally see
Mm-hmm.
because Gengar is still very much to this day one of the flagship Pokemon. Like Ash has a Gengar in the newest season,
Yeah,
and it is very cool and powerful. Um, Gengar has been popular in every single generation. I'm pretty sure it's one that's appeared in most, if not all, of the
yeah,
generations. Um, Nidorino has not.
yeah.
Nidorino, I don't like. I can see why they'd be like, yeah, what's the first Pokemon you're going to see? Gengar, wicked, dope. What's the second Pokemon you're going to see? Nidorino? Why? I don't know.
Yeah,
Because I know it's not like as forgettable as um Nidorina.
mm,
It's because of this appearance.
yeah,
But why was it chosen for this appearance?
yeah,
And now I'm wondering, like, was this what Nidoking was supposed to look like originally? And then they were like, no, we can't make a middle evolution out of it, so that's going to be the middle, and we're going to put Nidoking on his hind legs, like, because that could be it.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
they could have animated either the show or the game beginning. I agree, it is a satisfying shape, but it's a very forgettable Pokemon.
yeah. Well,
I feel like if it was like that cool to put in the beginning, they could have been like, well, this is one of the flagship Pokemon. Why don't we go out of our way to do a bit more with it? And they
yeah,
didn't.
yeah. Well,
And I think like the closest is that obviously we see when we battle Giovanni, which we discussed briefly last week. But again, as we discussed last week, I think Giovanni's um Nido King and Nido Queen are more memorable
mm,
than the Nidorino he has midway through the game.
yeah. But yeah, I think that you hit upon a point there. So it would not surprise me if Nidorino was originally meant to be the end stage evolution, or it was originally meant to be a two-stage, or maybe Nidorina and Nidorino were meant to be two-stage originally, and then they added this on for a third for both of them. But I suspect that that animation must have come in earlier than when
Yeah.
they created the type-ins, because we know that the type-ins come in quite late in development. Um,
Yeah.
and the reason why we know this is because so people have since pointed out in subsequent years that it's using a horn attack against Gengar, which I suspect that if they came up with that animation pre introducing the ghost type, after introducing the ghost
Yeah.
type, they would have likely had it doing a different move against Gengar.
Yeah. They would have had it doing like a poison sting or something because yeah, a horn attack being a um uh normal type move would have had no effect on a Gengar. So like the announcer would have been like, "Oh, Nidorino's got a cool horn attack." They'd be like, "What the fuck is this Nidorino doing?"
Yeah. So yeah, I agree. It's an odd choice, and the reason why as well is because if they were like, oh, we really like the kind of shape and stuff like that, like what was being mentioned in the chat, that it's odd that they wouldn't pick Rhyhorn or Rhydon, which so Rhydon's the first
Yeah.
Pokemon that got
Y-
created. So it's odd again that they wouldn't pick that one if they wanted like a
Yeah.
rhino
And
shaped Pokemon.
yeah. And I feel like Rhyhorn and Nidorino are very similar shaped Pokemon.
Mm,
They are like, and I get that like in we're going back to what we were saying about the patterns being very similar on like Nidorino, like Bulbasaur line, some other Pokemon have a similar like patches to just break up the monotony of being one block color. And I feel like that is down to kind of the animation available to them, the designs for the sprites that were available to them, things like that. And I feel like this is another thing because like the bird Pokemon are all pretty much shaped the same. Like there's not much you can do with a very pixelated small amount of space. And I feel like when it comes down to it, um, it you can kind of see how they've gone like, right, what can we do with this shape? It can go in these directions and then gone in both. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And I feel like Nidorino and Rhyhorn are some of those.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you've also got to bear in mind as well that they so it would have been designed for the original Game Boy at that point rather than the Game Boy
Yeah.
Color. So I can understand why Gengar got picked because it's just this all black sprite that didn't require very much definition. Um, but again, why they would pick Nidorino, given that they could not apply the color palette at that point, is just an odd choice. But
Hmm.
as a further point, that I thought that them including that animation in the TV series was a really nice bridging moment uh,
Yeah.
to connect
Yeah.
both. Especially as well because if you're into the TV series, from if you play the games first, um, um, like any time that you power on the system, you're going to see that animation. So to see that in the very first episode, like really early on, if is that like the opening of the animation?
Yeah, no, that is like it's you have like the theme tune
Mm,
and then that's it. That's the first thing that you see.
mm,
Like you see that battle and like then you see like Ash kind of like lip syncing along with it, I guess.
yeah,
Playing at being a Pokemon master and his mom goes, get to bed.
yeah.
Um,
And I imagine it's really easy for like most kids to watch that and then go, oh, they're watching the same thing that I've watched, and then like imprint a little bit of yourself on Ash Ketchum at
yeah,
that point. So
yeah,
real,
definitely.
so clever that they did that. So clever.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, so that's the thing. Like that's the main thing that I think of when I think of Nidorino. That animation.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is the main thing that Nidorino is known for. I feel like apart from that, uh it kind of just fades into obscurity with Nidorina. I think if it wasn't for that um bit of animation, there would be no like not much else to remember it by. It'd just be doing all the same things Nidorina's doing.
Yeah, totally. Like,
Like it's in that one episode. Although Whitney doesn't have one, although I believe Ash does fight one at some point in the Indigo League, but I don't remember the trainer. I think it's just like a background side battle. It's not anything particularly momentous.
yeah,
Uh, so again, they're around, but they don't have any like major plot points. They're not the big movers and shakers in any of the more memorable stories.
yeah. Like, there's probably a reason why. So we know that Gary Oak has got a Nidorino, Nidoking, and we
Hmm.
know that Giovanni's also got a Nidoking. Um,
Yeah.
and there's probably a reason why we don't spend any time with Giovanni's Nidorino,
Ye-
or Gary Oak's Nidorino.
Yeah, they're the awkward teenage version in the middle. Like they're not the fun one. No, Bobby Giovanni is the leader of Team Rocket. He's a mob boss. He's not a Pokemon.
Yeah,
He's a guy.
he could be considered like the main antagonist of the whole series. Uh,
Um, and yeah, no, think I think Nidoking is a more imposing Pokemon to see.
mm,
And if you want to see a trainer such as Gary or Giovanni as a threat, I think using their awkward teenage stage is not going to do that for you in quite the same way. Like, do you see Gary using a Wartortle ever? I don't think so, but you see him using a Blastoise.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
No one's scared of those
Um,
furry ears.
um, yeah,
But
yeah.
to answer the question in the chat, uh, Italy is not a Pokemon.
But I guess that means Italy canonically exists and is also the birthplace of the mafia in the Pokemon world. If Giovanni is there,
Yeah,
um, they haven't done a region based on Italy yet, have they?
no,
They've done a bunch of Japanese regions, obviously.
yeah,
Kanto and Johto are both Japanese.
yeah,
Um,
um,
we've done England, Spain, um, France, New York.
yeah. I want to say Hoenn is also an area of Japan.
Yeah, I think the first few. What's Sinnoh? Is Sinnoh Japan as well?
I think Sinnoh is Japan.
So I think the first four generations are, I guess, Asia at least,
Yeah,
if not just Japan. And then the subsequent rest are US and Europe.
yeah. But yeah, I'm fairly certain if I'm right, Sinnoh is the big island at the bottom of Japan.
Okay, that makes sense.
Um,
Um,
and
yeah.
and
Okay.
if I'm right as well, I want to say Kanto and Johto are actual named
Yeah,
places in
I
Japan.
know Kanto definitely is. There is a region of Japan that is just called the Kanto region
Yeah,
already. But yeah. Anyway, Nidorino.
yeah.
Have we
Um,
got any other spicy hot takes?
Again, I feel like I've had one, but probably evolved it and got rid of it quite quickly. But I can't remember having one on my team.
Yeah, I think I started and don't think I got very far through a run of Let's Go Eevee, where I think I wanted to have either a Nidoking or a Nidoqueen on my team, just to see what it was like because I haven't done it. And I think originally I wanted uh a Nidoqueen, but I did find that my Nidoran male had a better move pool early on. So I ended up using that one more, which I didn't love, but ended up using got as far as a Nidorino, but don't think I evolved it. before I kind of stopped playing that run because I'd forgot that the novelty of the Let's Go games is that you don't fight the Pokemon ever, you just catch them all the time. And that got a little bit tiring. Like the first time playing it through, it was great fun, but yeah, the second time playing it through, I like like just feeding your Pokemon like candies rather than actually like training them up at all just felt kind of shit. I didn't really enjoy it. Like I get why it works on Pokemon Go because it's a mobile game. Like you don't invest the same kind of time
Mm.
as you do into a like console game
Mm.
as you do a mobile game. At least I certainly don't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to have to like grind my Pokemon the way I do in console games on Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
But I don't, and I get that they were trying to bridge it, but I think it made Let's Go a little bit dry to replay.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Yeah.
glad I did it once, but I don't think I'm gonna do it all the way through again. Like I might start it again a few times and be like, yeah, catching Pokemon, but then like I'll be like, oh, there's no like battling or training or anything like that. It's kind of there's only battling other trainers, and even then they only fight you once. So
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah. Yeah. That was one of my main issues that I had with Let's Go Pikachu. And like to the point where I got told, so apparently it's quite common knowledge that Eevee is the better of the two to have, and but it's like I found it so kind of clinical that I never bothered to start again because I was like, why would I go through that again?
I mean, I think if you bought Let's Go Pikachu, you get Pikachu every time.
Yes, yes, that is
It's
true.
yeah, it's not like in the other games where you choose your starter. It's like you chose your starter when you bought the game.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
I'm also assuming that you can't evolve your Eevee.
no, you can teach your Eevee special moves that are like fire, grass, water, electric, dark type that only this Eevee can learn. I think some later starters can also learn them according to their own type, but like it's this special move that people will teach your Eevee, and they have the ugliest move names I have ever heard. Like I think the dark type one is called Baddie Bad, and like it's kind of cringe. Um, but they are some of the most powerful moves in the game, and your EV has like just absolutely hench stats compared to the other Pokemon you're going to get. Like you couldn't catch an EV in the wild that had these kind of boosted stats.
Yeah.
And it means like in order to feel like you're actually achieving anything, you have to not use your EV.
Mm.
Like I think if they actually made you use an unevolved Pokemon with normal stats through the game, that would be a much more interesting game than what they've done.
Yeah.
And I feel like they've kind of struck the I know they are trying to balance it between appealing to old fans by doing a remake and making it accessible to children by making it really piss easy. But I feel like they've kind of missed the mark on both of those things by making it like way too easy and like not quite getting the vibe right
Mm.
with the nostalgia element of it,
Yeah.
unfortunately. I feel like I gave that game a much better review when it was new.
Well, hindsight is 2020, mate. Absolutely, is
Watch
2020.
watch my I gave Diamond and Pearl, brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, like a really low score. Like watch it get lower as the years go by. Watch me learn to loathe that game. Anyway, Nidorino. Do we have any more thoughts about Nidorino?
No, like I say, I feel like I've had one, but never really remember that I had one.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, I mentioned it on one of the previous episodes that, and as I think it was Johnny said in the chat that so I'm a Bulbasaur picker, so the the Nidoran line has probably got very little for me.
because you've already got those poison type moves for your Bulbasaur. Yeah, I think if you've picked Charmander or Squirtle, particularly if you've pitched Charmander, you might end up with a Nidorino just because obviously Nidoran Male has that handy double kick for Brock,
Yeah.
but it's not too hard to find better poison types and better ground types. Poison and ground is a fine combination, I guess, for Nido King and Nido Queen, but I think the people who choose them, the Garys and the Giovannis of the world, uh, are choosing them because they look scary rather than because they're particularly strategically useful.
Yes. And like I say, my prediction for when we get to Nidoqueen and Nidoking is that Nidoqueen will probably actually be better than Nidoking, but I get the feeling that probably people pick Nidoking because it's like all spiky and stuff.
Because it's all spiky and stuff. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so should we have a look at the Dex entries?
Let's do that. Let's read the Pokedex entries. Watch me get all fucking mad about how they're all like, oh, Nidorino's all aggressive.
Uh, so
Compared to its like, nurturing mummy partner,
yeah, I mean,
Nidorino.
like I'm looking there at the official artwork, and it's like off what we said before. I could genuinely see that being the final stage.
Yeah.
I could see it having.
I feel like that could have been the original design for Nido King, and they were gonna have a more awkward one that was maybe a bit more akin to Nidorino, where it's a bit softer.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, actually, this doesn't, I don't know, maybe it didn't measure up to like Gary's Blastoise or Giovanni's Kangaskhan. And they were like, it needs to be scarier to
Yeah.
be in the main villains team. So we're going to do a bigger one and then sort of like switched it up a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, like it looks pretty cool. Looks pretty cool as it is. But yeah, it just looks like they probably went, let's do a third on that one and see how we get on. So here we go. Pokedex entries.
Sorry, I'm just really enjoying Johnny's comment, which I assume is in response to me talking about how they're gonna be all like annoyingly masculine. Nidorino is just better suited to management roles. I don't know what to tell you, which is chef's kiss. Yeah, right, let's read some of these. What do they say? Right, red and blue. An aggressive Pokemon that is quick to attack. The horn on its head secretes a powerful venom. What did I say? It's just gonna go straight to like, oh, it's aggressive, like falling into those gender stereotypical pitfalls. Like, not all men are aggressive. Some of them are little soft boys. Where's my little soft, cuddly Nidorino?
Yeah.
That would have been a really cute episode, I think, where some kid has a Nidorino, and everyone's like, oh, everyone thinks Nidorinos are so aggressive, but then this one is actually like a shy little baby.
Yeah.
I think that'd been a cute episode.
Yeah.
And they the whole gang just like teach Nidorino how to like accept himself for himself because he's got all these good qualities that have nothing to do with being aggressive.
Okay. Hashtag
Maybe
not
like
all
him better.
not all Nidorino.
Bobby says, I'm a soft, cuddly, needy Reno. Which I love. Right, what's the next one? Its horns, plural, contain venom. If they are stabbed into an enemy, the impact makes the poison leaks out. I mean, sure, that sounds pretty standard. That sounds like how that would work. Stadium Professor
already I'm
has
annoyed.
got some
I'm already annoyed.
dick swinging going around.
Yeah, why is Nidorino getting the dick swinging? Why can't Nidorino have the dick swinging?
Its horn is harder than a diamond. Like,
annoying.
Okay. If it punctures an enemy, it pumps powerful venom into the wound. Like the impact makes the poison leak out. Sounds like a factual description of how the poison goes from its horn into the thing it's stabbing,
Yeah.
right? That's how poison works. It pumps powerful venom into the wound. Just sounds so aggressive unnecessarily in comparison.
Yeah. I also have an imagination of Stadium Professor with an Nidoran and a diamond and just fucking swinging baseball bats,
Oh,
knuckle
pump
dusters.
your hard diamond horn, Nidorino. Just Stadium Professor being a fucking deviant again.
Yeah.
Right, let's leave him behind. Gold says it raises its big ears to check its surroundings. If it senses anything, it attacks it immediately. I feel like that was copied and pasted from a Nidoran entry.
Yeah. All they've done
That's
is added
definitely
big.
yeah. You know, what is it? It's just Nidoran but bigger. Okay, done. Um, Silver has quick to anger. It stabs its enemies with its horn to inject a powerful poison when it becomes agitated. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So we're getting now it's short-tempered.
Yeah.
Another toxic stereotype of masculinity we're seeing here,
Yeah.
compared to like Nidorina being all nurturing. Okay, fine, yeah.
Yeah. And it's not even
Uh,
pink. Not even pink
can't
anymore.
say I'm can't say I'm terribly surprised by that one.
Nope.
Crystal, it is easily agitated and uses its horn for offense as soon as it notices an attacker. That's basically the same information we got in Silver, but slightly reworded.
Um,
Stadium 2 has copied Gold's homework because it's learned not to be so fucking weird about the Pokemon's hard horn. Um,
just before we move on, Crystal has made me think of like if you replace the word horn with comedy, you could that could describe any fragile open mic male comic. It is easily
and if you
agitated
replace
and uses its comedy for offence as soon as it notices an attacker.
if you replace horn with gun, it describes police officers. Um,
Oh, look at that! We got political. I weren't expecting that on the Nidorino episode.
Okay. Ruby and Sapphire is back to the dick swinging. Nidorino has a horn that is harder than a diamond. If it senses a hostile presence, all the barbs on its back bristle up at once, and it challenges the foe with all its might. Um, Again, how did they know this was consistent to every Nidorino? Were they like continually antagonizing the Nidorino and we're just like, no, they're definitely every single one giving it their all. Like none of them are phoning it in when we piss them off.
Yeah,
Like
and it almost
all
feels
of its
like
might.
they could not decide whether or not they wanted Nidorino to be rhino-like, to be rabbit-like, or to be hedgehog-like. And it's like just pick a lane, pick one.
Yeah.
I'll be done with it.
Emerald is basically the same. Fire red. Fire red. I'm tickled by the word choice. I will give you that. It is easily angered by swinging its well-developed horn wildly. It can even punch through diamond. So it's not that its horn is hard as a diamond or harder than a diamond, but it can actively destroy diamonds. Um, Leaf Green has an aggressive Pokemon that is quick to attack. The horn on its head secretes a powerful venom. Okay, yeah,
I feel like we've heard diamond a lot. I feel like we've heard
yeah,
diamond on this one more than we've heard it on any of the other ones. Like the other ones, like concrete, steel. I feel like the
yeah.
professor must have had a partner that was like, "When are you going to propose to me?" And they were like, "You know what? That Nidorino fucked the ring up. So sorry, can't can't get engaged. Don't blame me. Blame the Nidorino."
um, Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum has a violent disposition and stabs foes with its horn, which oozes poison upon impact. Again, I mean that's just what we've heard before, but like I don't think anything's building on anything. I'm really hoping Sword and Shield are going to turn this around for me. Heart Gold has the same as Gold. Soul Silver has the same as Silver. Black, White, and Black 2 and White 2 have the same as Diamond and Pearl. X has the same as Gold. And Y has basically the same as Silver. No, wait. not silver. It's got the same as something as leaf green. Um, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire have the same as Ruby and Sapphire. Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee has its horn contains venom. If it stabs an enemy with the horn, the impact makes the poison leak out. I think that's the same. Yeah, that's the same as yellow.
Yeah.
All right. I'm really hoping that Sword and Shield are going to turn this one around for me.
Oh, I think it will.
Sword has with a horn that's harder than a diamond. This Pokemon goes around shattering boulders as it searches for a moonstone. Actually do like that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool,
When
isn't
I
it?
saw harder than diamond, I was like, oh, not more of this. But actually, the fact that it contextualizes it,
Yeah.
um, and also like I like the idea of like them observing the Nidorino in the wild, like actively when they're ready to evolve, going and looking for a moonstone to do so. I think that's really quite cute.
Yeah.
I like the context this has. Shield says it's nervous and quick to act aggressively. The potency of its poison increases along with the level of adrenaline present in its body. I think I also like this because everything else says it's a quick tempered, aggressive Pokemon, but Shield is the first one to tie that to nervousness. And I think it did this with Nidoran Male as well, if I remember rightly from last week. It it isn't just saying, oh, it's just angry for no reason. It's angry because it's nervous. And I think that also like touches into why a lot of very aggressive people are aggressive, like naturally, rather than like when something puts their back up, like when something has triggered it. It's like if you are just always aggressive, probably because you're like insecure about something.
Yeah.
And I do quite like that it is drawing that very direct parallel and it's not saying like it's good to have this Pokemon on your team because of its aggression. It's being like this Pokemon is aggressive because it is nervous. And I like that. That's um again, it's done that thing where it doesn't dispute what we know already, but it gives it a new angle that I think is better
Yeah.
than the information we've been given so far.
Yeah.
Right. And then Brilliant, Diamond, and Pearl has the same as Black, White, and Diamond and Pearl. Okay.
Right.
So I feel like it followed the same pattern as Nidorina in the sense that a lot of it up to Generation 9 sort of fell into some pitfalls of, oh, we've gendered these things, not subverted gender stereotypes very well, and uh, but yeah, Sword and Shield turned it around. This is like the first thing that's made me proud to be British in a long time, that like the Pokemon games inspired by England have the best Pokedex entries. I realize that's a low bar, but also this country hasn't achieved a lot recently, so please let me have this.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you this: if this general election does not go the way I want it to, I feel like that will be the only thing I cling on to for quite some time.
Sword and Shield is good. Like our country is a piece of shit, but Sword and Shield is pretty good.
Yeah,
We inspire better things.
we got a cup of tea, Pokemon.
Good cup of tea, Pokemon. I feel like, tell you what, we will get to this a million episodes from now, but like Copperaja, the elephant Pokemon made of copper, that is obviously inspired by our colonization of India, is like way too cute a Pokemon for like what it's commenting on. You know what I mean?
I can't believe that you're giving spoilers for a podcast episode that we're going to do in like 7 years' time.
7 years' time. Yeah, I've said this before. I'll say it again on the Copperaja episode.
Well,
anyway,
people are gonna tune into that episode and know exactly what it is that you're gonna say. So when we've got people in the chat being like, we already heard this when you mentioned it in the Nidorino episode. Don't be surprised. Right, shall we have a look on the Smogon entries?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okie doke. So we have got Nidorino. That's their animation. They look alright.
Hmm.
They've got rivalry as well.
Yeah. Oh, so it does marry up quite cutely.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
HP, its highest is its attack. It's got the same special attack and special defense as Nidorino. So
Yeah.
they're not playing favourites there. But let's have a very quick look at the stats compared to each other. So we've got HP 70. Right. So Nidorino's actually got higher HP than
Okay.
Nidorino. Uh, Nidorino has got a higher attack, which would make sense given the law. Uh,
Hmm.
uh,
But then Nidorino should have higher special attack given the law. I don't know why they've put like 5 seconds of effort into one and not the other.
well, Nidorino has
Or maybe I do.
got higher defense. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
um, but it is 72 attack versus 67 defense, so they're still,
Yeah.
playing favourites
Not
there
great.
now. And what are they doing
Okay.
on speed? And that's annoying. Nidorino has got higher speed, so it looks like Nidorino has overall the better stats across the two. But they are both in the not fully evolved category.
Yeah, that makes sense because neither of them are fully evolved. Does Nidorino have a right up or did they just blank Nidorino?
Uh, let's have a look. No movesets available. So they've blanked them both.
Okay, that's okay. As long as they've blanked them both.
Yeah.
Don't want them showing blatant favoritisms.
Yes, I agree.
Nidorino. Nidorino, I think I'd still only give it a 3 because I feel like its appearance at the very beginning of the game gives it a bit more recognizability, but it still doesn't have a personality. It is still just like too stereotyped to be interesting. And despite its better stats, I still don't like it enough to fight with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like
Like, if I was first introduced to it in Sword and Shield, I might have a better idea of it.
yeah.
Like, I might like it a bit more. And then but then going back and seeing its history, I'm just like, oh, okay.
I feel like if this had been the original Nidoking, I'd have probably given it a higher mark. But I agree, it's difficult to give it more than a 3. Like, I'd be tempted to give it a 4, but I feel like you make a very good argument for it being a 3. So I'm gonna stick with a 3 as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
3 it is.
Right, there we go. Look at that. We managed to do a whole episode that wasn't 100 hours.
I am surprised it was still nearly 2 hours,
I
but it
know!
is technically less than 2 hours. Well done us, being
Yeah.
concise-ish for the first time ever.